Medications don't just change brain chemistry, they can strip the nutrients that actually support it. We are your whistleblowing shrinks, Dr. Teralyn, and therapist Jenn, and this is the Gaslit Truth Podcast. Before we set this whole conversation on fire, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things because it matters to you and to us. So keep us moving in the right direction, folks.
That's right. Today, guys, we are going to talk about something that is missed a little bit in the discussion when it comes to psychiatric medication. Not only, harm, but also what can we do about this when we make a decision that we either want to go on psychiatric medications or we want to get off of them. There's a lot of opinions out there about whether or not supplementation should be something that's effective for people when they're going off of medications, whether or not we need to change diet and nutrition when going off of medications. Of course, Dr. Teralyn and I are going to have a bias to this because there is a side to this that we do take, and we also can recognize that there isn't a one size fits all approach. So we're gonna have a balanced conversation about that today. So how about we start with the idea that a psychiatric medication or other medications such as like birth control, antibiotics, anticonvulsants,
Any medication. Yep.
anti-gout drug, right? These drugs, I mean, they are actually depleting nutrients and minerals, vitamins and minerals from the body.
Yeah. You can't get something for nothing. There's always a trade-off, and this is what I want people to know. There's always a trade-off. But the fascinating part to me is like good mental well-being. We're going to stick in this lane a little bit. Good mental well-being requires certain nutrients to be in place, right? Your neurotransmitters require these things. So now you're getting put on medications that strip you from the nutrients that are required for good mental well-being. And you've got some people in the space saying, don't take a supplement bad. And I'm like, well, you're deplete, right? You're deplete. So if you don't want to take a supplement, that's fine. But what about focusing in on your nutritional status, right? So yeah, this is the conversation because it is pretty divided in the space. Yeah, we're big proponents of nutrients and nutrition over here. And also, I guess the one thing I wanted people to know is like for us, like it is really important that you start on a nutrition journey before you taper. Like starting that is part of the taper plan. We've talked about this on the show. We call it the 3-month warm up, right? Like what are you doing in your life 3 months before you even begin to taper? I think so many people just want to start tomorrow. Like I want to start the taper tomorrow and get the tapering going and all this stuff. And I get that. The urgency is there. Slow down, like put some of these lifestyle factors in place, particularly nutrition, because I don't know about you, Jenn, but a lot of the people that I work with their diets are terrible. They're absolutely awful. Even smoking and drinking and all those things, and you're expected to feel better just because you are getting off your psych med, and that's just not the case because you probably didn't focus in on this stuff before either, right?
And I also think for people, newsflash, you can actually do micronutrient testing, guys. You can actually, and macro as well, but you can, if you're taking a psychiatric medication, test that shit, right? Like if you really want to, like people are like, I could test people are still blown away when I tell them that they can test their dopamine and serotonin, norepinephrine levels, like their HPA axis outputs, right? Like they just sit there and they're like, I can test serotonin? What?
Right?
No, I was told I can't by my provider. Your provider's wrong. This is what I do. I've had it done myself.
Right.
So
me too.
they're wrong.
Me too. And it was awful. It was terrible. My results were terrible.
So we're right.
Awful.
But so I think it's important to know that you can test these things. And let's talk a little bit about the drugs and the depletions that happen. So if I scale myself back just a little bit to what you were just saying, Terry, you cannot get something for nothing. So when you take a psychiatric medication, and we will generalize this a little bit too, because even like we're talking birth control, if we're talking any of these other medications, the body will be depleted of nutrients. Okay. Some of the nutrients that are depleted, for example, could be your B vitamins or your
big ones.
Your folate, or which is B9, right? Or your B6 or your B1, which is thiamine, B3, and niacin. Okay, so when the body is depleted of these, which is kind of interesting, right? I went on a psychiatric medication because I have depression or irritability, or I have mood swings, or I have all these problems, right? Then you're on the medication. Guess what happens when you're depleted of B vitamins, specifically to mental health? Depression, irritability, mood
Low
swings,
energy,
anxiety,
Yep.
emotionally flat. Cognitively, you can
Mhm.
have it when you're depleted from B vitamins, brain fog sets in, memory issues, slower thinking, word recall, confusion. You can have issues with balance. You can have issues with like B12 is something that's really specific to like tingling throughout the body. I believe
Mhm.
that's 12. Burning sensations, these weird things that happen, fatigue, weakness.
Yeah, the neurological stuff, the nerve damage and things like that, nerve issues. Mhm.
Significant B depletion can lead to panic, hallucinations,
What?
dementia-like symptoms. This is B
Mhm.
depletion. Okay, guys. So we go on the psychiatric medication and because we have some of these like mental health symptoms. But what you also need to know is that those medications will deplete the body of
You
certain
might
vitamins.
already be depleted, by the way.
Right.
Be depleted. Ha ha. That was
That was
funny.
good. That was really great.
Yeah,
Thank you
anyway.
for that.
You
Everybody
so
stays here for
so
another 30 minutes.
so, actually, I'm gonna roll that back just slightly. If you think that you are depressed or anxious or whatever, and you're going to the doctor, request a micronutrient lab be
Do a
done.
panel.
You might
Yeah.
just be depleted. Do you know how many people we see that are depleted in just vitamin D?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to the doctor complaining of this, like, lethargic, feeling,
Mhm.
and you get on an antidepressant, and it was actually your vitamin D was 7? Like,
Yes. Mhm.
no, but that's inconsequential though to the entire picture, isn't it? No,
Yes.
it is not. Because when we look at a neurotransmitter pathway, you need protein, you need vitamin B3, B6, magnesium, D, vitamin C, zinc, I'm sure I'm missing
Mhm.
some, but
Yep.
cortisol, whatever. You need all these things to be in place in order for your neurotransmitters to function. It's like a
Yes.
car doesn't just function on gas, it also functions on oil. Like you've got to have all this other things in place in order to function appropriately. So, the very thing that's supposed to help you ends up hurting you in the long run, and we are in this conversation of supplements or no supplements, raw dog the whole thing. Why would you? I Unless you are super sensitive to anything,
Yep.
which some people become that
Which is
way,
the thing.
right?
Yes, which
Mhm,
is
that's the whole
absolutely a
thing, and we
thing.
don't wanna diminish that.
Nope.
But if you're not, like, why aren't you filling your empty bucket? Why aren't
So
you doing
so if we do the 3-month warm-up idea, right?
Yeah.
The 3-month warm-up, Terry and I have talked about that as well. And
Mhm.
a shout out to Terry for, her book that she has written because that book is the 3-month warm-up, people.
It is. It's easy. It's like $15, okay, on Amazon.
Get
Your
that
Best
shit.
Brain. Get
Your yeah,
it.
get
Yes.
it. Okay. So so let's talk a little bit about so that's a common mistake that people will often make when they're ready to get off of psychiatric medication is they don't think about the idea of how I may need to supplement with some of these vitamins or these minerals. Now, supplementation can come from a couple spaces. Supplementation can come from an actual like pill or
Mhm.
powder or liquid that you take that as a supplement. Supplementation can also come from more organic spaces like vitamin D coming from the sun. Supplementation can also
Sure.
come from nutrition. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that today as well. So you have options within this. Um, if you don't test, you guess.
Mhm.
But for most people, and all of the deprescribing clients that Terry and I have worked with, the most successful people actually dial in where the
Mm.
nutrient depletions are before you even start titrating.
That's right. That's right. And I think we missed that. I do wanna bring this up. I heard a little clip, I think it was Mark Horowitz, which, we love Mark, but, he mentioned something about supplementation, that there's no evidence that it will make, your neurotransmitter heal any faster, right? And I'm like, "But that misses the mark." Dun-dun-dun. Anyway, that misses the mark just a little bit because it's not about healing faster. It's about um, optimizing what has been depleted because of either the meds or poor lifestyle. So
Mhm.
it's about getting you back to center faster, and so you can feel better during the taper and beyond. So I don't know. I've never really looked at it as a method to heal quicker. It's more just a method to stabilize what's been lost, right?
Yes, and offer
Um,
that support that's needed.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
and
brain health support that you actually need, not a quicker path, but a more supportive path. Mhm.
yes, yes, and I think also the other piece to this is important is we also need to consider if we are taking any kind of psychiatric medication, we also need to consider the idea that if we're worried about nutrients, this is the catch 22. We are
Yeah,
worried about some of these nutrients. We're worried about some of the symptoms that are happening. So we bring in some supplementation. There's actually supplements that are contraindicated to be
right.
taken. And so you're in this freaking catch 22, which really sucks because it's like, oh, I'm taking an SSRI. I can't sleep well at night. Well, shocker. So I'm going to take some melatonin.
Melatonin,
Okay, guess what?
contraindicated. Yep,
It is contraindicated. Now, not that every single person in the world struggles with that, right? Okay.
right.
I will be the first person to say I'm on an SSRI, I'm trying to get off an SSRI. Part of the path for me for reestablishing my serotonin pathway was to bring in a little 5-HTP because
Mhm.
5-HTP is one of the amino acids that we need to convert through, right? Tryptophan to 5-HTP, 5-HT to serotonin, serotonin to acetylserotonin, blah 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 down to melatonin. Okay.
Which for
I
some
did
people can be a bad thing to bring in
for
some
something yes,
5-HTP. Yep.
and I
Mhm.
brought it in, and it actually assisted me a little bit with converting that path. Of course, there was a lot B3, 6, C,
Mhm.
D, so that my serotonin path could restore itself for a little bit. I didn't have to take it forever and ever, amen. Okay.
Right,
It was able to do it, and my melatonin started to naturally then produce itself a little bit better. I started to sleep a little bit better,
right,
and then it was and then I could off of that. Doesn't mean that works for everybody, but you
right.
have to be careful if you're having symptoms on these drugs. Don't go out to the health food store and start
Just
buying all the
load up.
load up
Yep.
on aminos. Here we
Mhm.
go, right?
Yep.
Do your
Don't do
research.
that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't do that, and I think even prescribers do, they dismiss, taking a little melatonin or a little bit of
Mhm.
this or whatever, like, they dismiss it, and, then we overlook some harm if we're dismissing, as it's just it I also think a lot of people think about it because it's over the counter, therefore it's always safe because it's not prescribed, blah, blah, blah. Not true. That's just not the truth, so we need to be very cautious. We've talked about melatonin. We did a whole episode on
The
sleep
whole
and melatonin and all the stuff. So that was our 100th
That was
episode.
our
So
100th.
make
Go
sure you
check it
go,
out.
yeah, go watch that because not everything is a good thing. And we just have to be mindful of that. But I think the bigger issue is the depletion of nutrients. And then that leads us down this whole rabbit hole of, your gut health is probably effed as well. So if you're not absorbing these nutrients because you have pitiful gut health, right? And why do you have pitiful gut health? Sometimes it's the medications you're taking. Sometimes it's lifestyle stuff that you're still doing and or poor nutrients. High processed foods, alcohol, all these things create poor gut health. Then we got to work on that. So it becomes a little bit more there's more depth to this than just stopping a psychiatric medication and taking a B complex.
Yes.
So but also I don't want to I don't want to scare people because I think then it becomes too much. Like people get very overwhelmed by all the things they should be doing. And, Jen and I are pretty big believers in it, do something. Right. And I'm a big believer in, if you get a C on the assignment, a 70 to 75, you're making changes at that level, you're gonna see results. Right. You don't have to be 100% perfect in any of this, but we just have to do something.
Yeah.
And if you can test it, then you know exactly what you need to be doing.
Mhm.
Right? So exactly what you need to be doing. And I think the community overlooks that a lot in lieu of white knuckling through all of this sometimes. And I feel
Yes.
like that's a suffering place to be. And I don't know that everybody needs to suffer like that. Again, there are some people that are very sensitive to supplementation and some people become very sensitive to certain foods too. So, I those people do exist. But in general terms, getting your shit in order 3 months before you start this is probably the most important thing. So, yeah,
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
As you're
But
yes,
well,
I
because I
believe it.
also think, like, there's a lot of information out there, people promoting things like the keto diet or carnivore or all these things, and for some people, that's great. For other people, it's not. For some people, all that is very stressful, and so I'm more of a moderate when I think especially during a taper that, just focus on whole foods and healthy fats. Like just focus on those things
Yes.
and you are going to not stress your body out. We are not doing restrictive things. We are not, calorie counting because I know so many women come in and they're like, I just want to lose weight. I'm like, that's not what this is about. This is about restoring brain health. But if we're not doing those strict and restrictive things during the taper, you're going to have an easier time. So whole foods and healthy fats and eat as much of it as you want, So, because I'm guessing that the majority, if you really evaluate the majority of your diet, it's not whole foods and healthy fats.
Well, and this actually leads into something I wanted to talk about today. So for somebody who may be restricting calories,
Oh
okay.
gosh.
Yeah.
Can
So
you share the screen on this,
I'm gonna
Jen?
yeah,
Can you try?
I'm gonna try. So I have this really cool little chart and I share this with my clients when I'm meeting with them and we're doing some brain health work and we're doing some deprescribing work and they ask me a lot about like the nutrient depletions. One of the things that I go through with people is I'm very curious about your entire medical history. All right.
Mhm.
To me, that is the first thing that we talk about and rule out. Because that is all implicated within even you trying to get off of your psychiatric medications. Okay.
Mhm.
If you have other medical conditions that are going on, okay.
Oh, yeah.
If you're somebody who is also taking, let's say, a contraceptive at the same time that you're taking a psychiatric medication, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about nutrient depletions within that because shocker, guys, but even the contraceptive drugs, okay, are going to deplete A and B, the B5, B6, B9, B12, C, D, zinc, magnesium from that
Yep.
contraceptive drug. So this is the part I think where Terry and I are a little bit unique in our practice when we're working with people and getting off of psychiatric medications because it's so much bigger than just you getting off of that SSRI.
So much bigger, but
Oh my gosh.
your mental health has always been bigger than just a symptom and a med. Like, it's always been
It
big.
is.
If you look at this, like, here's Jen's gonna share the screen,
I'm
but
going to share this, but yeah, I
yeah.
want you to
So
talk about
here's a comment, wait, it says, "Feeling run down is the category. Feeling run down and or weakened state of immunity suggests multiple nutrient deficiencies might be a factor. Vitamin A, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B12, C, D, E, K, zinc, magnesium, calcium, like all of these things it's like everything practically. If you're feeling run down, that's it. The other one,
yes.
what was the other one we saw, Jen? It was feeling
Oh, I want to read.
fatigued or
Oh, yeah.
something.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a feeling
here we go.
y calorie restricted diets, all of
That's the one.
them.
So that's the one
Yep,
I wanted to talk about right now
this
because
one. Chronic
okay.
tiredness and fatigue, all of them. All you can see it. Look at that. That's
Yeah,
chronic
look at this
tiredness
chart,
and
guys. So
fatigue.
I
Yeah,
just popped it up here. You can find
hard to
this
see.
online. There are multiple of these. This is just
Mhm.
one of many that you can find if you look up nutrient depletions from any kind of a medical medication.
Yeah.
But where we were going with this to circle back is we were just talking about nutrition. We have a lot of individuals that will come to our practice ready to get off a psychiatric medication, and we do an assessment on tell me about what you're eating. Okay. And we will walk through what food
Funny.
looks like, right?
Mhm.
Now, if you look on here, guys, calorie restricted diets, which a lot of individuals are doing. Okay.
Calorie deficit. You can
They
eat
do,
anything in a calorie deficit.
yep.
Mhm.
They do not provide optimal intake levels of vitamins and minerals, right? Now, this one says individuals on calorie restricted, it says like less than 2,000 to 2,500. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's the nutrients that we are missing: A, B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B12, C, D, E, K, minerals, zinc, magnesium, calcium, potassium. This is what is depleted in the body. So you're also coming to get off of your psych meds and you're going through a calorie restricted diet.
Yeah.
These
Well, if
so
you think about this, Jen, most people in calorie restricted diets aren't doing 2,000 to 2,500. They're doing
oh yeah,
1,200 to 1,500
I know.
calories.
So that's why
Yes.
that number I
Especially
think
women. Mhm.
yes.
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 Mhm.
Yeah. So then you've got the body going through like chronic fatigue, chronic tiredness, right? And there isn't a disease, there isn't like this is another cool thing on this chart
Disease
too,
state.
right?
Mhm.
This is yeah, there's no disease state. I'm just really struggling with like I'm got all like I'm tired all the time. I'm fatigued all the time. Maybe my adrenals are fatigued, right? But there's no disease, there's no like big deficiencies just for the body to restore itself to get through fatigue, guys, to get through adrenal fatigue. it's
Mhm.
going to steal and rob A, B1, B2, B3, B5, B12, C, D, E, zinc, magnesium, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's robs
Well,
Peter to
to
pay
pay
Paul,
Paul.
right?
And
Okay.
when you think about this though, like how many people go to the doctor or even come to a therapist's office and say, when you're like, "What are your primary concerns?" "Well, I'm tired all the time. I have no
Yep.
energy." Or what was the one that we just talked about up here? I'm feeling run down. I'm just, "Oh, you're depressed. Oh,
Mhm.
that's depression." Well, actually, that is nutrient depletion. So, you right, like, we jump
Mhm.
over that. Well, we just talked about in the episode prior to this, it'll be airing about, the whole MAHA movement and nutrition, right?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
therapists. And it's like, well, I mean, if therapists can take these things and be like, well, you might be nutrient depleted, not
Yes.
just depressed. You could be, your depression could be a result of nutrient depletion,
Yes.
or your anxiety could be result of magnesium depletion. So this isn't just for people that are trying to get off psychiatric medications. These are people that are going to therapy or going to a doctor and complaining about certain things that are happening in their body. And a psychiatric medication is the end result of that complaint instead of nutrients.
I said the most rogue thing to a
Oh
client
god.
yesterday, a therapy client. I think it's rogue, right? Like, maybe it's
We'll
not. I think
see. I'll be the judge of that. You
my
tell me.
clients are so used to hearing me say
I know.
this kind of shit, right? And, it was all about diagnoses, okay? And it was about the
Mhm.
labels that have been put on this person, and they were really concerned about a previous one they had, and they're like, "Well, maybe that is me, maybe I am ADHD, right? Like, this really is what
Yeah.
it is, or I am major depression." And I stopped and I said, "Before you got that label put on you, did you have your nutrients tested?"
Yeah. They
She's
look
like
at you like you've got a
She'll even be
third
like,
eye right here.
What are you
Yeah.
saying,
Why
Jen?"
would
Right?
I? Why would I
Like,
get those
right,
tested?
like,
Yeah.
why would I do that? And so I
Yeah.
offered a little bit of education on B vitamins and on D, and I just kinda went through that a little bit, and I said, "You realize that these things show up in the same exact way, symptom-wise." I said, "Well, did you have some nutrient testing done?" And
Mhm.
she kinda looked at me funny,
That
and I
should be
said,
that should be part of the whole new MAHA thing, like, nutrient testing number 1,
my god, right?
honestly.
I said, "Did you have your thyroid tested?"
Oh,
"Well,
that.
you told me you were perimenopausal around this time. Alright, did we have your hormones looked at?" Right, so all of these other things, right? And it was kind of like a ding went on, and I said, "That's why I don't give 2 shits about that label." And I
Right.
think that's the rogue thing from the therapist land of, like, she's like, "Well, what are you gonna diagnose me with then?" I said, "Not a damn
Nothing.
thing." I said, "Because they can't rule
There
all
was a
that stuff
diagnosis
out, you
for
know?"
nutrient deficiency, that's what
Oh
I
my
would
god.
diagnose you with.
Woo! Right? And so
Well,
so we talked.
malnourishment, I mean, that might be a diagnosis, I don't know.
It is, but
Mhm.
that's what it's about, guys. So they show their faces in the same way. So I know we're kind of veering off a little bit on like what we're talking about in terms of
Mm.
nutrient depletions from a psychiatric medication, but we're also talking about when you consider going on one, it might be worth doing some micro and macronutrient assessment to
Mhm.
actually look and see if that might be what's causing it. If you've
Well,
got, significant hormone imbalances and you're taking a contraceptive, I wouldn't be surprised if you start to mental health symptomology starts to show itself
yep,
when we know that the contraceptive is actually depleting your body of the vitamins and minerals that are necessary to produce serotonin and dopamine and GABA and glutamate and all these things.
yeah.
Right? Right.
Yeah, I don't know why this isn't just the first thing we do, and there's so many people like, if you think about how many teenage girls are on
Oh.
contraceptives too, like,
Mhm.
and then they get put on psychiatric medication because suddenly they're anxious or depressed or yeah, exactly, the
Hello.
med
That was
stacking
me.
begins, yeah, but it's just
Right?
mental health, it has nothing to do
Yeah.
with the other part of it, but what
Yes.
I mean, if you go into the doctor and you get on a psych med without having your nutrients checked first, you could already have different depletions, and now you're adding
Yes.
more
You
depletions.
stacked it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Mhm.
stacking the depletions right on without
Mhm.
even knowing. And it always makes me wonder if that's why many people feel worse, especially over time when they're on these psych meds. Is it just the neurotransmitter imbalance? I'm sure that's a huge part of it,
Mhm.
but is it also all the nutrient depletions that begin to happen? Because I know how I feel when my vitamin D is in the toilet. I feel
Mhm.
terrible. And so but that is never part of the conversation. As a matter of fact, it feels like it's pulling teeth to even get a simple vitamin D lab feels like, well, why do you want that? Well, why wouldn't you want that? Because it's so important in your mental well-being. So, yeah, there's just so much. There's so much to these conversations. But again, not to overwhelm people, I just want you to think through the importance of nutrition and your own nutritional status. So
Yes.
if you're thinking about tapering from a psych med, or if you're thinking about going on one, okay? If you're
Mhm.
thinking about your mental health is questionable, how about more whole foods and healthy fats? How about you start thinking about what you're putting into your body
Mhm.
as and the resulting is some emotional issue that you're having, or psychological issue. Now, is that all the time? No, but I would say, Jen, 95% of the time, nutritional status plays a giant role in someone's mental well-being. Giant. And it's not looked at. It's not looked at like that because the only solution is a psychiatric medication. It's not food. And I don't know how we got there. That's maddening to me. But, think about your nutritional status just improving. And if you are so depressed that you can't do that, think about a super high quality multivitamin, period, and some vitamin D and maybe some omega-3 fatty acids, like think about those things. Again, whole foods and healthy fats are the way to go. So do you need some fancy keto diet or carnivore diet, or what are some of the other diets? I mean,
There's so
Mediterranean
many.
diet
That is
has
right.
been
Yeah.
researched, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think those can be helpful for some
It's
people. There
frameworks, like
Yes.
frameworks. But for other people, that can cause a lot of confusion and overwhelm, and, I know when I get overwhelmed by food, I just don't do any of it, right?
Mhm.
So because it becomes too difficult. So think about areas that you could just add more in, like, if you don't have many vegetables, add more vegetables. If you don't eat much fruit, add more fruit. If
Mhm.
you don't eat much protein, add more protein, right? So some of these things don't have to be complicated in order to be helpful. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
So if you would give advice to somebody who is, let's say it's somebody who is already taking a psychiatric medication
Mhm.
and they're in the process of starting to already go off of it. Okay.
Yeah.
And they did not do what we are calling our 90-day warm up, right? Which is where
Mhm.
we're really trying to assess and look at the nutrients in the body, any depletion areas that we have.
Yeah.
90-day warm up, guys, also includes like restoring sleep. It
Yeah.
includes like bringing a level of movement, exercise into your lifestyle daily,
Mhm.
right?
Stress
It
management, all of that.
requires stress management and mindfulness and worrying. Okay, that's like the whole kitchen sink of the 90-day.
Mhm.
But let's say you've got somebody who is in a space who hasn't started the nutrient piece to this or hasn't actually
Mhm.
considered the idea that they could be nutrient depleted from the drugs that they're taking.
Yeah.
Where should that person start then? What do you
Get your
think?
labs drawn. Get them drawn
Yeah.
now. Get your labs drawn right now. But I think the easiest place to start is to stabilize your blood sugar and eat more
Okay.
protein. Like, that's to me, that's the basic, 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 basic stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
More
Yes.
protein to stabilize your blood sugar. So with a stable blood sugar, your mood is more stable as well. So, whether you're on it or off it, but that to me is like the first thing to do. I think about kids too with that, Jen. Like, these
Mhm.
kids with behavioral problems, like, stabilize their blood sugar, more protein. They need
Yeah.
all those things. And if we could do that more often, I think there would be less psych meds. But anyone on it, stabilize your blood sugar, make like it's your freaking job. Okay. So just starting with more protein more frequently. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So stabilizing blood sugar,
Yeah.
protein,
Yep.
getting some labs drawn, right? Even
Yeah.
if you are already in the process of starting
Sure.
this, right?
Yeah.
Um, because it can help. Um,
It'll give you a
we
roadmap. It'll give you a little bit of a guide, like, what am I missing here? And what
Yes.
can I improve on? Like, if we have a bucket with a hole in it, how do I plug the holes? How do I stop the bucket from leaking so badly?
Mhm.
And that's going to be your basic nutrients. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. And I wanna give a little bit of plug for a hot second to the keto piece of this, only because, and I think this is
Mhm.
why, guys, the science behind some of the keto is because keto significantly reduces inflammation. Like,
Mhm.
and that's the other underlying thing to this. Whether you're doing a keto
Yeah.
diet, whether you're doing Mediterranean, whether you're going to go, I'm going to swap a sugar for something else that isn't a refined sugar. Okay. You're reducing the inflammatory state. So not
Yeah.
only are you stabilizing your blood sugars, but that's really what you're doing. So in the case of keto, we're like removing excess sugar, we're removing refined carbs, highly processed foods, right? Like these are
Yep.
all the things that we're removing. So actually what we're doing is helping with inflammation, reducing oxidative stress. That's really
Right.
what it's about, right? There's some stuff indicated within mitochondria functioning as well, which that would be another episode that Terry and I can do to talk a little bit more about mitochondria functioning. But that's all implicated within, like, specifically in the keto diet. So I have to
Mhm.
give a little bit of shout out to that and why that's effective for people, because that's what that diet does.
Yeah.
However, even if you're not doing that diet, you can bring in some of those healthy other choices that are going to stabilize blood sugar, reduce
Reduce
oxidative stress,
inflammation. Yes.
reduce
Mhm.
inflammation, right?
Right.
Whole foods, healthy fats,
Fats.
reduce
Mhm.
sugar and caffeine.
Yep.
Those are and highly processed foods. Those things are going to do something very similar
Yes.
in the body at a very basic level, right? So
Yeah.
I think
But if
that
you're not
that's
doing if you're not doing those things already, right? Like, to go full bore into keto, something so restrictive, while you're trying to do this
trying to get off of a
medication
med.
taper, yeah, like,
Mhm.
it can throw you into something that you don't wanna be thrown into, just from a stress response of that, like, your cortisol could spike, just more overwhelm. So, I don't know, I think for me, less is more. If
Mhm.
you can just improve your protein, or if you can eat more leafy greens or something that is going to be helpful and it's gonna set a good trajectory for later. So, it doesn't have to be extreme to be powerful. I
Yeah.
I I talk about this with people, how many pebbles does it take to make a mountain? And they're like, "Well,
Mhm.
a lot of pebbles." And I'm like, "Right, but yet if you have a lot of pebbles, you can definitely make a mountain." So, if you're putting a lot of pebbles down, you're making small changes, those changes are gonna add up over time as long as you're consistent with the changes.
Yep.
So, and
Well,
you're
and that's
gonna need to be relatively consistent because med tapering takes a while. As Jen knows, she's
no.
on year 3 now.
Oh, year
Yes.
3, we're almost at year 3. I think I need to have
Mhm.
a party when I hit year 3. Never in my
Yeah.
wildest dreams would I have thought it would be that long.
Take 3 years, yeah.
The
Mhm.
wrap up on this though is that's a lifestyle change, not a
Yes.
habit.
Correct.
That's what it is. It's a lifestyle change and not a habit. When you are going off of a psychiatric medication, or even considering to start this is part of what informed consent is. If you're ever going to go
Yeah.
off of it, you're going to have to change your lifestyle, most likely, to be able to do this.
Mhm.
So let's stop with the habitual stuff and let's start with actually doing things that are going to change the lifestyle. Hence the 90-day warm up. It's a
Mhm.
pebble at a time. And so
Mhm.
is the process of getting off of the psychiatric medications. And that's why you've got to really dial these things in. So
Mhm.
that being said, I think that's a good space for us to wrap up.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you comment. Have you tried any specialized diets for yourself? What do you think of them?
Mhm.
Have you tried to just stabilize your blood sugar? What works best for you? So we'd love to
Right.
know your
Have you
comments.
did you actually go and do nutrient assessment before you started to go
Yeah,
off of your
great
psych meds?
great question.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and was that helpful or effective? Because for most of us, we know we've tried to go off of the psych meds multiple times, and we had to do
Mhm.
different things different times. So you might actually have some collateral to go, "Yeah, the first time I did it and I didn't do that. The
Yep.
second time I did and I restored those for a bit, then started the process. Was it helpful? Was it not?" So we wanna
Mhm.
know. Give
Yeah,
us some comments on this. So it's not a one size fits all, approach to
great.
things. So
Right,
all right.
right.
Well, that being said, we are the Gaslit Truth Podcast, guys. Thanks for sticking with us to the end. If you have any Gaslit Truth stories that you'd like to send us, or you would like to start to work with Dr. Terry or I on how to get off of the psychiatric
Mhm.
medication safely, which ding ding, we're going to suggest do some testing.
Yes.
Shoot us an email at the Gaslit Truth Podcast at gmail.com.